Well, I love the Tiny Toons NES game. I think it's a really, it's Konami. You can play as all the characters. They all have different abilities. It's a really good platformer. I think the difficulty is just right. It looks and sounds and feels like the show. I think it's a really good and underrated NES game. Like really, really strong. It's one of my favorites. But I never owned Buster's Hidden Treasure for the Sega Genesis. And I never owned Buster Busts Out. Is that what it's called?
Buster Busts. He busts big.
Busts all over.
Buster busts big.
Let me make sure I get this right. Buster Busts.
Big busty Buster.
Busty busts a nut. Loose. Buster busts loose. I was familiar with both of them, so I have now played through both of them from beginning to end on my handheld, because on my handheld I can use the rewind feature, and the rewind feature is the only way that I'm going to tolerate these fucking games. First of all, the graphics on both of them are really, really strong. Like they both, and especially the SNES, it really, really just nails the Tiny Toon feel and look, and it's got it going on. The characters are like, it really is such a huge upgrade from the NES one in that way. And the NES one was already really good. The gameplay for both of them just pale in comparison to the NES one. The SNES one suffers from a little bit too much ambition. It's got like, first of all, you can't play as anybody but Buster in both games. Whereas in the first one, you could play as Dizzy Devil, Plucky, and Furball, and Buster. So you could pick a second character to be. Buster was your primary, and if you got like a beach ball power up, you could switch to the other person. And Plucky could fly, and Furball could climb walls and stuff. It was perfect, just what you want. In the SNES one, you can do a dash, and you can like a cartoonish run, and you can run up walls, and then you can like leap back and forth. It's like it ends up being way too hard. And the screen
are these all Konami? All of them?
Yeah, they're all Konami. Yep. And yeah, look, the music and the graphics are great. So, and the level creativity, and there's cool mini games in the SNES one, and there's comedy, and there's lots to like, but just the gameplay's fucking annoying. Whereas like, could you just be a normal platformer to some degree here? And then over at Genesis, the gameplay is much better. Something I missed. In the SNES one, there's an attack. You do like a backflip that hits the enemy, but you can't hop on the enemy, like a la Mario. In the Genesis one, you just hop on the enemy. Way better. Way, way better.
Just copy Mario, guys. He figured it out.
Just copy Mario, would you please, so that I can enjoy myself? But they also copied Sonic quite a bit in the Genesis one. There's not a run button, but if you walk without interrupting yourself, you'll start dashing like Sonic. And that's kind of disconcerting, where you're like,
I don't got that momentum thing going on.
Yeah. And the level design is very uninspired. It's like, it'll be like 5 or 6 levels in a row of like forest. A generic forest.
That's my problem with like some Genesis games. They all have that kind of like boxy level design, where you kind of are like navigating like a big box maze, and maybe like the exit will be on like the lower side of the box, and you like have to go around, and you can't really everything kind of looks the same almost.
Yeah.
And you're like like the Terminator video game is kind of like that for the Sega CD.
Right.
It's kind of like that.
No parallax scrolling. And
Vector Man's kind of like that. It's got kind of like that boxy thing going on.
It is fascinating to think about just the range of graphics from if you start with like Altered Beast or Strider or like Revenge of Shinobi, like where they were kind of like slightly better than Master System, and then all the way to like Vector Man, X-Men Clone Wars. It's crazy how good the graphics on the Sega Genesis ended up getting. Yeah,
because then you got into like the Donkey Kong Country era where everyone was doing pre-rendered graphics. Yeah,
I also played a lot of I didn't finish it because I was like, "Fuck this," but I got through a lot of it. I played Cliffhanger for the Sega CD, which is the same game as the Genesis one. It's like it's a run and gun for the most part, and then there's like two types of gameplay. There's run and gun, and then there's not Cliffhanger. Sorry, there is a cliffhanger for Sega CD, and I'm not talking about that. Demolition Man,
Demolition Man. Okay.
which is a lovely movie, by the way. Have you seen Demolition Man?
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
great, great, great satire.
Taco Bell's the only surviving like restaurant.
We did a few years ago. Nina and I picked up some Taco Bell, watched that movie. It was a great night.
Taco Bell's still good.
But the Sega
I don't care
CD
what it was.
version, of course, has the awesome music, and it's got like sound clips of Stallone going "heads up" and stuff like that.
Heads up!
There's one level like you're fighting on through like a moving train, and you kill the power, and like all the power goes out, and like you're just shadows, and like the graphics are pretty amazing. It's just that you can't see the bullets that are hitting you, and you're just they give you 3 lives, and then it's game fucking over. And the idea that you're gonna get through that game is preposterous. I don't know why they build it that way. We went to Funspot again, by the way. From my birthday.
Yeah. How was that?
It was great. It was what a place, man. You got to go there.
Oh, yeah, I was. You were saying you were going. I'm like, maybe I could figure out a way to go with with Gabriel, but 3 hours in the car would destroy him. He gets car sick, so you have to like time things very well.
The most memorable. There's so much to say about Funspot, and I have made a video about my family and I going to Funspot. People should check it out, just so you can get a sense. But so basically, I don't think there's any arcade games that are kind of after like 2002, 2003. I think that probably the most modern stuff is like the Daytona USA cabs and stuff. But anything that's kind of 90s, anything that's like Star Wars trilogy. Well, they do have the TMNT 2012 one, that big arcade cabinet. But anything that's like Mortal Kombat, that's all in its own area. And that's a lovely area. It's amongst the pinball, and it's Simpsons is there, and they have bumper cars and blah blah blah. But then they have the museum, and the museum is I don't know 100 cabinets or something, maybe more, all from 80s and lots of 70s too. There was a game in there, EJ, that was from like 1981, and it was a shooter through like plexiglass. You know what I'm talking about? Like where like the screen is like a mile. And you're in just like this like hideous torture room. I felt like I was playing an illegal game. And you just shoot at already dead bodies and like some rats that are running across, like, and it's just bloody carnage. I was like, what the fuck is this game?
That's some snuff film here.
And there was like, Gloria was like, what are you doing? And I was like,
playing 8mm the game.
I'm just going to shoot the hell out of dead bodies. That's all. But it's so cool because they actually maintain and preserve those games. And dude, for $20, if you stick a $20 bill in the thing that spits out coins, it will give you this cup filled with tokens. And every game only costs a token. Like that's it. And you will just be there all day. Like $20 easily would buy you like nonstop gameplay for like 4 or 5 hours. To me,
famously, the King of Kong had a scene there. So if you've seen King of Kong, a very wonderful documentary.
They're out in Laconia, New Hampshire, and it's the second year in a row we did it for my birthday. The tradition now is we drive. There's that cookie place Crumble. Have you heard of this? No. They make gourmet giant cookies, and they have like all these different types. So they'll have like a donut cookie, they'll have like a giant Oreo one. They'll have they have all these different ones in rotations, like double milk chocolate or whatever. So it's like $25 for like a pack of 6 of them, and we'll get that. We hit this like Italian place on the way there, and then we stay in essentially like a ski, on Lake Opechee. It's basically like a ski resort, and we go to Funspot, and it's just the best time ever. It's the best. Yeah.
What I was thinking about is I was thinking about your video about the grist mill, because Noah is obsessed with mills. Because we have this book, I think it's like called Pancakes by Eric Carle, and in one of the pictures there was a mill, because they in the story, the boy wants pancakes and he asks his mother, and it's like, oh, first you have to get the wheat, and then when you get the wheat you have to thresh it, and then when you thresh it you have to bring it to the mill and get it ground into flour, and then you have to get the eggs, stuff like that. And he gets to the page with the mill, and he was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. It's got a huge wheel on the side.
It is kind
of
awesome.
It's got gears, it's got things, and he's been talking about it all the time. He wanted to see videos of mills. And then I was like, oh, we have to take him to a mill. And so I thought about that grist mill video that you did. And I'm like, we have to go there on the way to the Cape or something. Like, we'll stop by there and then go there. But yeah, because it doesn't open till April. Because I was like, oh, that'd be so fun to bring him. But
they might want to go on the Mayflower too. That's like not that expensive, and you can take a quick spin.
That's true. And they do like ships too. So
it's all right there, and it's beautiful. It's clean, and I love it.
Yeah, so I definitely want to take him to that grist mill.
Somebody drew a guy named Great Bowser. I think he's one of the mods on Cinemassacre Truth. He drew a crazy caricature of me. I was so flattered to get. Really, I mean, I just thought it was so great because I've seen him do that for all the slobs, and I've seen him do it for Matei and for James and stuff. And the fact that he drew my stupid ass, it was so awesome. And it's funny too, because people who love me were like, that doesn't look like you. That looks too evil or something. And then other people were like, no, when you're snarky, you kind of do look like that. I was like, I just can't wait until EJ's birthday and John's birthday. I want to see a big John picture like that.
Oh man, I have to wait until September.
Well, John is in May, so maybe we'll get a. And I did tell him that. I was like, please do these for their birthdays. He's like, oh, I will. Just give me a heads up when their birthday is.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.